y'all, I'm Courtney and welcome to my channel. If you haven't already watched it, I suggest watching my Books That Remind Me of Spring video where I go over a few books that may or may not have been set in the springtime, but just remind me of the sunshine, the warmth, the emergence of life again after we've been in for a cold, cold winter, and just something to make us smile. Also, I have my Twitter, Bookstagram, and Facebook accounts linked below if you want to follow me over there. I post a little bit more frequently there and have way more bookish content there than just my weekly YouTube videos. So today we are doing a reading vlog. So if you've been with this channel for a little bit, I do monthly reading vlogs where I choose a book or I have you all choose a book for me and that I will read in. Usually it's been a day or two, but sometimes it may go longer than that. And then I pause, give reflections to the video, to the camera, to you all, and then put that together into a longer video that just shows what I thought of the book, like the process of how I read it, the notes I took, the reactions I had to different points that have been shared or different like turning points, I guess, in the story, and what I learned overall once the book concluded and how I would take that in my life, in my reading life, and so on and so forth. So for the past few months, I have done, for January, it was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, and then February was Twisted, The Tangled History of Black Hair Culture by Emma Debris, and this month I had you all vote over on Instagram amongst three different books. One was The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, one was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and then last was Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. So one didn't do so well in the voting, but I've already read that book for this month, and then the other two were tied or very, very close, and one came out just above the others, and that was The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. So this I've seen on so many book lists. I know it was a very popular book in 2020. I think it won a few awards then for either like the GoodReads kind of reader's choice or something, but it's a very, very hyped up book. Both of my alma maters, coincidentally enough, have chosen this book this month through May to be their book club for their alumni, and that I thought was pretty fun. I went back and forth of like, okay, should I go by the chapter like breakdown that they have shared so that when we discuss things on the forum or on the online forum, I'm not too far ahead, but I feel like this is the kind of book that I will want to continue reading and like get through quickly, not just to say I finished it, but because there's going to be so much happening and because it's such a hyped up book. So yeah, I will still contribute to my alma mater's discussions, but I might be a little bit more ahead, meaning hopefully I'll finish it in the next day or two. And our first conversation is not due until April 1st. And that I don't know which chapter that is on, but if I've finished by then it won't really matter. But I will do my best not to give any spoilers. And speaking of spoilers as well, like if you feel that you want to wait to watch this video until you're done reading the book or until you're ready to hear my thoughts about it, then please feel free to do so. Come back when you want to and listen and watch and enjoy. But I probably will be giving some spoiler plot points away. And I don't know, like I've gone back and forth, like it's hard to talk about the book in this kind of style without sharing what has happened. So see this as your warning to exit now if you so choose. But yeah, that'll be my goal, is to share my reactions to probably like bigger plot points that are happening and kind of spoilery kind of things. So yeah, this was a gift to me by my friend Liz at Read by the Color, and she got this for me for my birthday. So my group of girlfriends, they each picked out a book for me based off like what was on my wish list, but was also something that they like resonated with them or like was very much in line with their personality. And Liz is also a bookstagrammer, and it was just so appropriate that she got this for me, so I'm excited. And then hopefully we'll be able to talk with her after I'm done reading it. And then other folks have recommended this book to me as well, so lots of people to talk to about and share my ideas with, including you. So what is this book about? Well, I'm going to read the synopsis, so feel free to fast forward if you would like to. Between life and death, there's a library. Up until now, Nora Seed's life has been full of misery and regret. She feels she has let everyone down, including herself, but things are about to change. When she finds herself in the Midnight Library, she has a chance to make things right. The books in the Midnight Library enable Nora to live as if she had done things differently. Each one contains a different life, a possible world in which she made different choices that played out in an infinite number of ways, affecting everyone she knew as well as many people she never met. With the help of an old friend, she can now undo every decision she regrets as she tries to work out her perfect life. But things aren't always what she imagined they'd be, and soon her choices place the library and herself in extreme danger. Before time runs out, she must answer the ultimate question: what is the best way to live? Oh boy, wow, that's already intriguing. Like, I had some semblance of what this book was going to be about before I had received it and before I picked it for this reading vlog, but the idea of like second chances and like different choices and regret, like I think about those things all the time. So my MBTI, or Myers-Briggs type indicator personality, is INFJ. So introversion, intuition, thinking, and judging are like what the acronym is for those 4 letters. So, and it's funny because it's one of 16, and it is like the smallest population, or the smallest amount of people that get that result. And it's funny because I follow this account on Instagram that gives a lot of insight into like how INFJs feel and act and everything. And one of the things they say we do, which I 100% agree with, is that we look back at things in the past a lot and like wonder, why did we say that? Why did we do that? And there was one that I saw, it said, oh yeah, we could be thinking of something we said 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago, and like kick ourselves for doing whatever that was in that moment. And that happens to me all the time. Like randomly I am doing something and I think like, why did I say that? Like back when I was in high school. It's very frustrating. It's cool to be reflective, but not when it's like in a negative kind of way. But yeah, I feel like that a lot when I look back on things of like, oh, what if I did this differently? Or what if I said that? And yada, yada, yada. So that I found very relatable, even just reading through the synopsis here and thinking about second chances and things we wish we would have said, done, etc. Anyway, so my plan is, like I mentioned, to read through, so you'll see some film or some takes of me reading. If it's nice out, I probably will go outside, so you'll see some outdoor kind of park kind of scenes of me reading, and then I will pause intermittently and give my reactions and where I am in the book. And then at the conclusion of the reading vlog, I do like a wrap up of what I thought, my rating of the book, and yeah, and hopefully have good things to say about it. If not, you will hear that as well. So that is the plan. I hope to finish, like I said, in the next day or two. So if you're watching this on Monday, what is that, March 29th, then you know I finished over the weekend. But if not, then, well, it'll just be posted later, and that's how it is. It is what it is. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're 17 pages in, and there's already a lot of like somberness happening. The first page even talks about 19 years before Nora decided to die. So, you know, we're dealing with some depression, some like mental health kind of issues, and like that is also brought up like to the forefront in her conversations with folks, like her inner thoughts, and even with her brother. So yeah, it's definitely kicking off with like this, her life is not going well, or she's just not in a positive frame of mind, and it slowly like ticks off everything that has gone wrong or that she's been affected by. So we learn about her mom's illness, we learn about her breaking off her engagement to her fiance 2 days before the wedding. We learn about her giving up her dream of being a swimmer and going to the Olympics, and she's been working at a music shop for like 15 years. She's in her mid-30s and kind of just wondering like what else is there in a way. So it is pretty, like I said, like somber tone right now. It is like quick narratives and quick dialogue happening, so it makes it go fast. And she even finds out that her cat has been run over by a car, so it just passed away, and it says that she felt envious of the cat. So yeah, clearly not a good start. And yeah, interested to see if she does get some kind of help, or like something moves her mind into a more positive state, or what. Like I am in no way an expert when it comes to mental health or depression. I'm just hopeful for her and wondering, yeah, like when or what if this library that we know is going to be coming up, that she has like these choices and everything, like how that impacts her mental health, or like what exactly happens there. So I don't know, intrigued, but also like saddened, just based off what we know about her so far in these first 20-ish pages. I'm back from my quick little run out to the park. It was just so nice not to go out there, or to not go out and get some sun and some fresh air and everything. So lots of people in the park, which was fun to people watch, but also get some reading done. So, which I did. And I am now on page 58. So going back a little bit, there were some few pieces I wanted to pick out. One of them being how Nora is in this mindset that she's looking for like people to be authentic and like real, especially on social media, which that could be very dangerous or very much like a rabbit hole. So she goes on there and she doesn't find any messages, comments, no new followers, new friend requests. She said she was antimatter with added self-pity. And then she went on Instagram and saw everyone had worked out how to live except her. She posted a rambling update on Facebook, which she didn't even really use anymore. So I think that is very real as it comes to like mental health these days, is doing a lot of comparison and looking at what other people's lives look like on social media. I know I fall into that trap of like, oh, I'm doing the same exact things as these people in these posts and these videos, but how come I'm not like happier or like having the same joy as what is being seen on these channels? So I thought that was pretty interesting and very telling. And then we have the introduction of what the Midnight Library like means. So it's all of the possible lives of the person that's between life and death. So Nora had taken a couple of antidepressant pills or had overdosed and was in between these two times where the library pops up and all the infinite, I guess, possibilities of her regrets or like what life could have been have been presented in front of her, which I thought was interesting. But I also wrote down in my notes that it's very much like Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. So I thought that was pretty interesting, of like these multiple lives, multiple choices, and different paths that we find ourselves on. So that, I know that's going to play a factor into this, because she's going to get introduced into all these different lives she could have had, and she's going to live them and see what that could have been. So as she continues to think about like what could have been, she's reflecting on like her different relationships with friends and intimate partners like Dan, her fiance, and she's thinking about all the things she's backed out of. So her father had died of, I think it was a heart attack on a rugby field, and then her mom passed away a few months before her wedding. Her brother kind of abandoned her, and so there's been like a lot of people that have left her life either willingly or not. So it's kind of like taken a blow to her in terms of what love looks like, of what support, family, friendship means. So she kind of retreats into herself and backs out of a lot of commitments. Like she doesn't do swimming anymore, she doesn't play in the band, she breaks off her engagement with her fiance and all these other things, and starts working at like this music store called String Theory. And she says, unlike those other things, there hasn't even been a reason. And she chose to stay in like her hometown, it says, because of some strange predictive homesickness that festered alongside her depression that told her ultimately she didn't deserve to be happy, that she had hurt Dan, and that a life of drizzle and depression in her hometown was her punishment, and she hadn't the will or clarity or hell, the energy to do anything. So in effect, she swapped her best friend for a cat. So a lot of pressure she's putting on herself, or like responsibility for maybe others' unhappiness, and then like feeling that she needs to live the same way, or like have that not positive or healthy life because she didn't give that to somebody else. So very interesting, but we'll see how much more I'm able to read before the night wraps up. Again, it's very beautiful outside. I might sit out on the deck, we'll see, but I have to start making dinner soon. But I will catch up with you later. Hey y'all, good morning. It is Sunday, day 2 of the reading vlog for the Midnight Library. So I did end up reading a little bit more last night before I went to bed and then some more this morning. So I'm about halfway through, and Nora has been experiencing a few different lives based off of different choices she would have made in like the past life to get her to where she is now. And she's learning that even though the choice was correct, the desired outcome wasn't what she was expecting, more surprising or like not what she anticipated and not the best way. So she's wondering like, is there a right choice or a right way to be living? So she's kind of in a funk right now, or kind of stuck with like, what should be my next choice? Where do I go from here in this Midnight Library? And I don't know, it's been interesting to think about like all the things that I've done in my past where it could have led me in so many different directions, and many might have been not the best direction, and who knows, you just don't know. I think that's the point here, is every choice you make, you're never going to know what the outcome's going to be, or what's going to like lead you down a path, and what's going to be at the end of that path or along that path. You don't know. So it's been interesting. There's a lot of like philosophical questions and existential kind of things going on that she's thinking of and quoting. So I think that's pretty interesting. So we're going to keep pushing on, and I'll catch up with you later. I'm back. So I have probably less than 100 pages left, and a lot of stuff is happening. So I was wondering when we were gonna get to a point where, like the last time I mentioned, she is like starting to wonder like, what's the point? Or she's been going through all these lives and they've been disappointing, or she returned back to the Midnight Library and she is realizing, or is getting help from Mrs. Elm, who was kind of like guiding her through this process, that she's been picking all along other people's dreams and seeing those manifest themselves. So becoming Olympic swimmer was her dad's dream. Opening a bar or a pub in the countryside was her fiance Dan's dream. And then the staying with the Labyrinths, the band, was her brother's dream. And all those kind of didn't go so well for her or other people that she ended up returning. So we also learn that when she's kind of shifting in between wanting to live and wanting to die, and then once she kind of reverts back to that wanting to die mindset, like there's a glitch in the system in terms of like the Midnight Library, and like things start shifting around and it's like troublesome, and there's a threat of it not existing anymore. And when it doesn't exist anymore, she's kind of stuck either in, I think, the life that she is currently living in like this book that she picks, or she's dead like in her root life, or the one that she was in before entering the Midnight Library and she had overdosed. So yeah, we're trying to figure out what comes next. So what does she want? I think she's been trying to figure that out, and she's always kind of blamed herself for a lot of outcomes. She's still doing that and trying to make up for it by living these other people's dreams. So who knows what the right answer is? Is there a right answer? Can she go back? Who knows? I mean, Matt Haig knows in this book, of course, and everybody else who's read this. But yeah, it's coming to a head now, and we'll just have to figure out what happens, and if she stays in the Midnight Library, is that even a possibility? Or she moves on with the life that she was currently in before entering it, which I think I'm leaning more towards that's going to be the outcome, because I don't know, like she'll turn it around or do a 180, or learn that like anything that she chooses, it's going to change in some kind of way what she's experienced in the past and all of her precious memories from before, and maybe it's not worth the sacrifice to be in whatever her dream may be, and maybe living in the life that she originally had not necessarily is the best it's going to get, because she was very like depressed, obviously, as the book had started. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I just have a feeling that's the route. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll be pleasantly surprised to see what the ending is or how she moves on. So we'll go from there. I'm finished! Woo, woo, woo! So, yes, this book. 5 out of 5. Let's start off with that. That is my rating. Sorry, I actually like took a nap in between the last filming I did and then finishing this book because I was just exhausted. But anyway, love, 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 love. And look at all the tabs I have in here. Lots of good quotes. I don't even know, where did I even leave off? Oh, I'd made the prediction of her ending up choosing, in a way, to stay in the life that she had before this in-between life and death stage when she's in the Midnight Library. So, I mean, now that I think about it, I'm like, of course, like, obviously that's what's gonna happen. Like, how could it be any other way? So I don't know if that was a brilliant revelation or not, but yay, I was right. So, yes. I was getting a little bit nervous because of her life in, like, the last life she had before the ultimate, like, determination of the Midnight Library, like, going down and her returning to her original life, because she spent so long there. There was weeks and weeks and weeks where she had a daughter, she was married, but I appreciated that even in this life where she was happier, the small things that Mrs. Elm always was talking about, like, don't forget those opportunities or how important those small acts are. So those were missing. So the things that she did for people that at that time may not have meant much to her, or maybe didn't feel like it made much of a difference, made all of the difference in the alternate reality that she was living in, because they were kind of worse off. So I was wondering, I'm going on to a different point now, because that made me think about in between, like, her figuring out, like, okay, I'm living all these other people's dreams, and, like, this last life she had, it kind of glossed over, like, these hundreds of other people she was, or, like, types of people she was, or types of Nora she was. And I kind of wanted to know, like, what were the regrets that got her to those places? Or did she just, like, pick out of the blue, like, oh, I want to go be a teacher, oh, I want to go do this and that, and it, like, listed off, like, all these different things where she was married, she was single, she was in between, she had a kid, she was just married, she worked at somewhere in America. So, like, I love the range that was being shown with, like, her possibilities, or her infinite possibilities, but I wanted to know, like, why those were chosen. But I know it was done for effect of, like, all right, she's going through all these lives, like, is any of them gonna stick, or, like, is she just gonna keep doing this over and over again, like Hugo was when she met him in, was that Norway, on, like, the Arctic boat, or, like, the research for the glaciologists. So, and that also made me think too, whatever happened to him? I know that's not his story, but he seemed to have been in the midnight video store, was, like, his world, or, like, his in-between, whereas hers was a library. What, I don't know, like, how long was he there for, and is he still going? So I thought that was interesting. I did get a lot of vibes of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, so, like, I don't want to spoil that book. I do have a reading vlog for that, so check that out. But like, if you've read both of these books, you can see that there are some parallels when it comes to, like, interactions or people with, like, similar situations going on. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, like, the dark matter coming up to my mind again with, like, the alternate realities. But I thought it was interesting where all of her lives, they pick up, like, on the same day, but just, like, in different paths or different directions. So I think it was in April. Oh, I can't remember what was the day that she had overdosed, but it's, like, right after that, it's, like, that's when it picks up, like, in that day or time period where she's somewhere else in the world or doing something else. So I liked that consistency, that at any given moment, like right now, as I'm filming this, another branch of my life, I could be doing something else. I could be out for a run. I could be in a different part of the United States. I don't even know what time it is now. I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern time. And that could be, I don't even know what time that would be in other parts of the world, but I could be doing something else. So I liked that a lot. I'm trying to think if there's any quotes that stood out to me. Clearly, because I have a bunch of tabs in it. Let me pick out, let's see. Oh yeah, like there was a whole chapter called, like, the only way to learn is to live. And I think that's a good example of, like, you just, like I keep talking about over and over again, you just never know until you go do something and you experience it yourself. And that's basically what Nora's doing in all of her lives. Like, she's seeking out that what if. for every single decision she made or regret that she had, and she's learning what that meant for her, what it meant for other people. So I don't know, like, we don't have that option really now to see what our other paths would be, but every experience we have is an opportunity to learn. And like what Shane's saying, like we are living when we are learning. So I like that concept a lot. I also appreciated there were so many metaphors with the chessboard, and I kept thinking of the Queen's Gambit, because that's all about chess on Netflix, and I have the book. I haven't read it yet, but I will. But there were so many like narratives or discussions from Mrs. Elm, and then like that was kind of like their thing going back and forth between Mrs. Elm and Nora, like throughout the entire book of like there's only one way to set up a board, and that's like a clean slate. But once you make one move, then like there's however many possibilities, and then the next person makes their move and that adds more possibilities. So I just like that of like every single move you make is going to change the path that you're on, or like the outcome, and the game's not over. She kept saying the game's not over until it's over, and even if there's just one pawn on the board, when you think that's like the worst it's going to get, like she said it's a queen in waiting, which is true. Like if you get to the other end of the board safely, like you can turn that into a queen and turn the whole game around. And that I think is what Nora needed to hear, of like you are at your worst, but like it's not over yet. You're in this in between and you have a choice, and it's time to make it and then get to the end of the board and see what the other possibilities are. So yeah, a lot of, like I mentioned before, like there's a lot of mental health, and like I don't personally know or have never been diagnosed or anything like that. Like of course, like I've been sad or like down and everything, but it's completely different when you're depressed or just don't have that motivation and that energy and everything. So there's lots of talk of that in there. And like there may seem like there's one answer, and that is to end one's life. And I guess thankfully for Nora, she kind of worked past that, or like saw the other side in a different way that made her want to live. And I think it does a great job of sharing, like even if hopefully folks choose to live or are able to live after feeling that depressed or like wanting to hurt themselves or end their lives, that it's not going to be easy. Like there might be a new viewpoint or new perspective, but it doesn't mean you're protected from sadness or anything going wrong in your life. And she admits that, and I appreciate that a lot. It's not just like sunshine and rainbows now that you've made this choice, but it's just an opportunity to see things differently and to take note of like the small things, like she said before, and that's like your sunshine, or that's your positivity, or your I don't know what keeps you going as you go from day to day. But yeah, like there's a lot of telling of relationships in here, a family, of friendships, of it not being too late to recover those, no matter how long it's been. So that I really love, as like, especially now in a pandemic, I feel like a lot of my friendships and relationships have kind of waned, and that saddens me a bit. But knowing that like it's not the end, we still have time to recover those and make those stronger. Or if that's the end of that story, like that's fine, but I don't know, there's always a chance that they could continue, and that's exciting, or I don't know, that makes it a little bit better. Anyway, I probably have more thoughts about this, but those are just initial ones. I still need to figure out what I'm gonna do, because me and my coworker were both in one of the alma mater book clubs for the alumni book club, and we're gonna talk about it on Thursday this week, and I need to make sure like I'm at, or I don't go past the part that we're supposed to be at. So that's gonna be kind of hard. So I need to maybe have her like prompt me of like, oh yeah, like when they talked about this, I'm like, oh yeah. So, which I'm not gonna be lying, but I need to just make sure I don't reveal anything before it needs to be revealed. But yeah, enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below of this one. All right, thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. That was exciting. I don't know, I got a lot out of that book. I am excited to kind of do some more reflection on it, like I was saying, and talk with more people about it as others read it, or maybe they are in the process of reading it, and talk, especially with the alma mater book clubs that I'm a part of, and see what other people's thoughts are with that. I know one of the questions before I started reading was about what if, so I'm super excited to see what people have to say there. Yes. that is that. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or comment down below your thoughts or other questions you have about the book. And yeah, I am hopeful to continue these reading vlogs. This is my third one out of the year. Excited for what's to come for April. At the time of filming this, I don't know what one has been picked. I put a poll out on Instagram for 3 books, and I'll know shortly, as the poll will be expired hopefully soon, and I'll be able to pick which one I'll be doing for the month of April. So I love doing these. They're so fun. I like have a good time reflecting on them and have like deeper like consumption of the material and the content, and way more like in-depth thoughts than I do just reading without having this kind of narrative or like talking to myself or talking it out of what I'm thinking. So I think that's been really good for me. But yeah, let me know if you enjoyed that kind of style. Anyway, if you want to hit subscribe, feel free to do that to see what other videos I have coming out in the future. I usually post on Mondays, or Mondays and Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on how many things I can get recorded in the week and weekend. And then I have my Ko-fi and wish list listed below if you want to support me in a different kind of way. I'd appreciate that. And yeah, I hope you have a great day and happy reading.